Grease Lightning. Hi, welcome to Sounds of the 70s. Only joking. It's actually Sounds of the late 90s, believe it or not. 1998, I think. Now that's record music. 40. We have hit the big 40. So a bit of a 40th birthday party. And we're wheeling out some old timers to get the ball rolling here, aren't we? John Travolta and Olivia Neutron-Bomb. As people used to say in the late 70s, apparently. I'm far too young to remember. One thing I will tell you is if I had a penny for every time I played this doing my discos, I would be as rich as Bill Gates. Now, talking of Bill Gates, I've not really mentioned the internet, but over the last few years, the internet has been gradually making its way into life, because we're now mid-98, and it's not really apparent from the Now albums that we're literally now a year and a half from the 21st century, and in a world full of the millennium bug and impending social media. Still no YouTube or Facebook at this time. You'd be forgiven for asking why on earth this album, now 40, kicks off with a 20-year-old song. Well, that's just it. It was the 20th anniversary of Grease. So perennial songs. This is actually the Grease Mega Mix. It's not listed as such, but that's what it is. It's just listed as You're the One That I Want, Grease Lightning and Summer Nights. The Mega Mix itself comes from 91. Almost, it should have made now 19 really. It was about that era. And it's actually a really good Mega Mix of three very different songs. I like how they've taken three songs that have totally different tempos. And totally different styles, really. They're all kind of pseudo-50s. But they've kind of stuck them all together with aplomb, really. They've taken the best bits of the best songs from Grease. So, yeah, very good Mega Mix, if you like that kind of thing. Clearly not one you'd listen to at home, unless you're a bit weird. But I guarantee you, when the lockdown ends and pubs and stuff open again and they start having discos, you'll have a few drinks and you'll be clapping along to that bit. Okay, so Grease Mega Mix, how do we follow that? Spice Girls with Viva Forever. Now, this is another one that I'm not really going to play. It's not really one I'd listen to myself. But yet again, I have to acknowledge its impact. And what really surprised me about this one, number one, how many stats it's had. And number two, how many people are still listening to it. And it really means something to them. Who's still listening on coronavirus quarantine? Who's still on it in 2020? Crying like a baby, and I'm not ashamed. 32-year-old man crying in the middle of the night like a baby because I miss my mom. Oh, dearie me. Had nightmares about this video when I was a kid. This song is probably the most beautiful ballad of the Spice Girls. It's a masterpiece. So there's a lot of love for this song, a spooky video aside. And I respect that. Again, it's really not about me liking it or not. I don't mind it. It's just about acknowledging its cultural impact. In terms of views, 42 million. Pretty damn good. Okay. Now, one that I like that's probably had very little cultural impact is Karen Ramirez. The first of many, many kind of Latin-esque entries on this one. And it is Looking for Love. Which I believe, and I could well be wrong, is an old Everything But the Girl song. So more Tracy Thorn writing. And in kind of similar vein to their stuff with Todd Terry. Kind of folky, vaguely Hispanic club music. I've got to play this till the end. There's no way I can cut this short. Billy, my friend, Billy, because we want to. I say my friend because I absolutely adored her in Doctor Who. I've always had a soft spot for her. Not too soft a spot, I have to say, because she was only 15 when this came out. I thought it was quite... it's one of those songs with a good verse and pre-chorus and an obnoxious chorus. And obviously Billy would go on to blossom, notwithstanding her marriage to Chris Evans. So yeah, interesting bit of pop culture there. Billy Piper's origins. Now, sticking with the movie themes, wasn't that epic? If you don't like that, you're not human. We have another movie theme now, and it's the first of two songs, very, very strangely for a Now, both sides of a double A side make this, well, if you can call it a double A side, it's a CD single. But it was a twin-headed CD single. Both sides of it actually make this now. This was side A, or song 1. From the movies, it's All Saints and Lady Marmalade. Do you know who did the original? You should do. It was La Belle. Voulez-vous coucher avec moi ce soir? And yeah, it was a classic 70s song. They've modernised it, but with not too much difference to it, really. Bit of a rap on there. There are actually a few people who've done versions of this over the years. So yeah, there we have Voulez-vous coucher avec... I can't speak French. Lady Marmalade, Voulez-vous coucher avec moi ce soir? Now, talking of couching with people, as it were, Moose Tea with Leave Little to the Imagination with Horny. That's featuring Hot and Juicy. We had Mark Morrison being horny. Now Moose Tea, maybe someone should set them up. Of course, this is before the days of Plenty of Fish. Yeah, Moose Tea. They would actually go on to have a really, really surprising follow-up here years later. And we'll come on to it. Is it 'Cause I'm Cool? You would not think that was the same band who did Horny. It was a very summery, kind of holiday, housey thing. I'm horny, 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 horny. Pretty good as a kind of novelty-ish tune. Yeah, I have to say, Now 40, it's a very summery affair. You can always tell the Nows that came out in the summer. They've got a real kind of summery aesthetic to them. Right, okay, another weird one now. Something of a paradigm shifter, because a lot of people would do tunes that sort of followed on from this one. And it's always interesting to come up with the original. It is the Tampera. And no, that's not about Gary Glitter. Sorry. The Tampera featuring Maya and Feel It. Not had a great deal of views, really. Not even made 1 million, which surprises me, because I thought this was a real classic. Again, spot the sample. Can You Feel It? Jackson's. But they've built a whole new song around that. Got some pretty pumping beats on it. This is the one about what she's going to look like with a chimney on her. I don't know what that's all about. A chimney. Something to do with Fred Dibner, maybe. Look him up. Yeah, I like this one. This is always very popular down the disco. Okay, Dr. Jones next, by Aqua. Okay, I loved... well, I wouldn't say I loved. I had a hidden soft spot for Barbie Girl. I think Dr. Jones stretched my patience. It's not as good. It's kind of follow-up. Not too bad, I suppose. Right, Steps. Last thing on my mind. I kind of glossed over 5, 6, 7, 8. But, you know, this is where Steps are really coming into their own. Yet again on this album. It's not one I choose to listen to at home. But I respect it because it's... I don't know, when I say Stock Aitken Waterman, it might only be Waterman by this point. I don't quite know who was still in them, but I still think of it as Stock Aitken and Waterman. They've followed on from the Deuce stuff, which I was talking about a few nows ago. Do you remember Deuce? Around about now 31. And they've gone back to being really camp. They've stopped trying to be trendy. They've just gone for the kind of really camp, family-friendly, big wedding disco songs. And there is a market for that. There's a niche for that. Certainly doing wedding discos, you actively want music like that. So yeah, I kind of give that one a pass. Now, I really don't give a pass to Leo Sayer, You Make Me Feel Like Dancing. Oh, God almighty. I hated that song. Always hated it. Naff, naff, naff. Leo Sayer, man. He's just... You ever see him on Celebrity Big Brother complaining about not having enough underpants or something? It's one of the most naff songs of all time. Why the hell it was back. Grease was just about acceptable, but I'll draw the line at Leo bloody Sayer. Okay, talking of naff... I guess I'll play it, because I've got nothing else lined up. Bus Stop and Kung Fu Fighting, which is absolutely a rip-off of Yep, thank you, YouTube Music. It's kind of a rip-off of all the entrance 70s ones. Remember, we had Do You Think I'm Sexy? This has got an almost similar groove to it. It's a similar formula. They've actually got the original singer sort of pulled out of retirement. They probably went to some old people's home, found him. Sorry, Carl. I'm sure you're not that old. You're quite a dude. And I think this song was in the charts when I was born. Not that I'm that old. Kung Fu Fighting with some kind of rap on it. It's kind of alright, but very novelty-ish. There's a lot of novelty tunes on this one. New Kind of Medicine from Ultranate. She found a cure with a new kind of medicine. Actually really good 70s throwback. See, 70s stuff doesn't have to be naff. There is really naff 70s stuff like Leo Sayer and Rod Stewart. But people like Ultranate, she drew on more kind of just credible 70s disco, 70s funk, 70s soul. So New Kind of Medicine's actually, it's more genuinely 70s sounding than the 70s throwbacks here. Stranded by Lutricia McNeil, not as good as Ain't That Just The Way It Goes, pretty carbon copy. Oh my god, Lighthouse Family, oh my god, Boyzone. But actually, you know, whatever. Just not going to say anything about them. Which takes us to song 16 and Under the Bridge by All Saints. They're back again, not that long after Lady Marmalade, only 11 songs. This was the flip side, and it was a big single by the Red Hot Chili Peppers, one of their biggest. Kind of a controversial cover in a way. They've maybe taken the edge off it, the Chili's version had, but it's pretty respectable. They've kept the basic song there. They don't totally ruin it. So yeah, okay, not bad at all. And that's followed up by All My Life, Casey and JoJo. I thought that song's really unknown, but I looked at the stats. It's had over 100 million. I'm guessing from America. Very R&B. Now another song that's not any good really in its own right, or not any good, just nothing spectacular about it. Janet Jackson, I Get Lonely, but it's a TNT remix here, and if I'm not mistaken, the second of those T's stands for Timberland, which means that it's his very first appearance as a producer or a remixer on a Now. Have there been any Timberland appearances before? That's followed by Sparkle and R. Kelly, Be Careful. Yep, be very careful of R. Kelly. Peter Andre next. There's some real drivel on this side. And Kiss the Girl. Okay, another re-release, another one coming up on disc 2. The Boys of Summer, Don Henley. That was a big song in the 80s. God only knows why it's back. But here it is. It's a fairly pleasant song from the ex-Eagles guy. It was a big kind of summer hit. And yeah, back again. Good to have on the Now, because it never made it when it first came out. Now, here's another big song from the Wedding Discos, and it is The Mavericks and Dance the Night Away. This was very kind of out of kilter with a lot of stuff going on. But then again, was it really? It feels like it was, but then when you break it down, it's yet more kind of Latino. It's a kind of missing link between Latino and country, really. I don't think they were Latino at all. It's got a kind of carnival thing going on. Yeah, kind of bittersweet song, really. It feels a bit of a throwback, but then everything on this album's been a bit of a throwback, really. It's an incredibly retro 70s styled album. Now this is followed by Save Tonight, Eagle Eye Cherry, Nene's brother, wanting a piece of the action for himself. It's nowhere near as good as anything Nene did, but it's a pretty classic song. It's fairly acoustic. Yeah, it's quite refreshing. That's followed by Catatonia and Road Rage. They were very, very good at picking up on the zeitgeist. We'd already had Mulder and Scully, and here they are talking about Road Rage, which was an absolute sort of tabloid headline. Probably made the Webster's Dictionary in about 98. Road Rage. Okay, Big Mistake. Natalie Imbruglia, nowhere near as famous as Torn. Is she thinking about leaving Neighbours? Was that a big mistake? I don't know, it's okay, but it's not really very remembered. Ditto, Embrace, Come Back to What You Know. It's an adequate indie song. It's just not very well remembered. Sonnet by The Verve, another good, strong song by them, but yet again, not a really remembered one. I think things like The Drugs Don't Work, Bittersweet Symphony, Lucky Man, they took all the kind of oxygen of publicity. There wasn't much left for Sonnet. Okay, another classic now. When things are looking despairing, you can always count on Massive Attack. Been a while since their last Now appearance. This is possibly one of the most famous Massive Attack songs of all time, maybe secondary only to Unfinished Sympathy, and it is Teardrop. Instantly recognisable, Massive Attack at the top of their game, a really nice song, just nice and gentle, great beats, got kind of those Portishead style scratches stuck on the record, nice guitars and stuff. Listening in the loop while in self-quarantine, we'll all get over this. This song makes my leg hurt. How does it make your leg hurt? Weird. It's 2020 and 1998 Massive Attack is still way ahead of their time. Yeah. Is it something to do with House, the TV show? Was it on that? That might be something to do with it. It's not Lupus. Yeah, there seems to be lots of House-related comments. But yeah, good stuff, great stuff, really. Another one that I've had a pop at on keyboards. Right, Legacy and Manson, they're next. And it's another pretty good Manson song. Nothing really to say about it other than it's a nice, good song. Right, Three Lions 98, Badil and Skinner and the Lightning Seeds. Lightning Seeds haven't really made any of these nows yet, which is quite surprising, because they were consistent throughout the 90s, and they would have been a very, very good kind of regular band like Cast or someone to have always popped up throughout the 90s on a now. I can only put it down to licensing, but they're a real missing band. I was thinking, actually, I might do that. The acts that got away, who never made it onto a now or made it way less than they should have done. Madonna, she's not made a single now yet. Nirvana, they haven't. Alanis Morissette, she didn't. And the Lightning Seeds' first appearance is just here, really, with Badil and Skinner. Now, we all know Three Lions, we all love it. The original came out in 96 for the Euros. The World Cup edition came out later in 98. The scary thing is, it's 20 years since we were singing 30 Years of Hurt. It's actually 50 years of Hurt now. And yeah, it's a classic football song, probably one of the best ever. I've talked about Badil in terms of the Mary Whitehouse Experience and Shakespeare's Sister, their parody of that. Skinner, Frank Skinner, a big comedian throughout the 90s. So it's always good to have some good comedians on these, just to give us a kind of wider glimpse of popular culture. And Three Lions, 98. It's coming home, it's coming home. Classic stuff. Okay, maybe not quite as classic, but certainly of the same football tournament. Vindaloo, Fat Les. Do you remember that? Incredibly kind of aggressive chant, quite postmodern. Not quite sure where their head was at. I think it was something to do with Keith Allen, who's a strange guy. I went off him when I saw the clip of him totally coked up on one of those late night debate shows. Was it After Dark or something? Check that out. It's quite hard hitting. But yeah, he was a kind of fringe figure throughout the 80s and 90s. Lily's dad, and the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, really. So that's Vindaloo and Fat Les. He had an obsession with Vindaloo. It's that clip I was talking about where he was coked up on some late night thing. He was basically quite racist to an Asian guy there. And he said something like, you haven't got a chip on your shoulder, you've got a Vindaloo on your shoulder. So I think he's one of those people who's got a few demons. I think he's quite right on, but I think he's got some hidden racism in there. Weird. I'm not here to psychoanalyse him. Listen to Vindaloo and watch the clip. Tell me what you think. Fat Les. Right. It's classic time now. It really is. We've had him in many, many guises. Here is now absolute Fatboy Slim being Fatboy Slim. No more House Martins. No more Beats International. No more Freak Power. It is just Fatboy Slim and the Rockefeller Skank. Another paradigm shifter. 18 million views. I would have had it 100 times that. Yeah. So we've got these big beat grooves that have been going on throughout the kind of 90s, really. But Norman Cook just totally twists them. And I think it's the middle section of this song is really what it makes it special. So far, so good. It's a real pumping, jumping, big beat kind of thing. Got the kind of retro element, but totally 90s up. It's what happens to it halfway through. I'll keep it on in the background, and then you'll hear. He totally mangles this song, and what he does to it is just absolutely incredible sonics. Really, like the acme of good electronica and good pioneering playing with sound. Yeah, classic. Very hard not to go totally bonkers to on the dance floor. Another great dance song now, Needing You. But what I will say is you've got to get the 12-inch of that. The 3-minute pop version, if you like. It's got all the same elements, but it's too short, and it just jumps from one section to another. Whereas the really long one takes ages and ages, and things kind of fade in and fade out. It's a lot more dynamic. The 3-minute version doesn't really do it justice. It's a good introduction to it. And if you like the 3-minute one, you'll go ape over the 8-minute long version. That's David Morales, presents The Face and Needing You. Just to say as well, David Morales, one of the legends of house. He'd done some really, really big remixes throughout the 90s. And it was really good to have him on and now, doing something really credible of his own. Needing You. Here we go. Song's going through the mangle now. Slowing down. Bit of time stretch. Just wait to what happens next. Wow. Yeah, I'd say that's one of the best little 30 seconds of music on an entire now, just that little section. Brilliant stuff. Anyway, where were we? Lucid, I Can't Help Myself. Pretty good. Quite a kind of progressive dance song. It's got vocals stuck through that kind of fairly typical indie, punky kind of distortion thing. But it's more really just a euphoric kind of trancey tune. It's good arpeggios and stuff. One that I'd totally forgotten, even though I'm a hard house head. Perpetual Motion, Keep On Dancing. It's kind of second-rate hard house, really. Where does hard bag become hard house? I would say hard bag's quite gay, and it's predominantly meant for the gay clubs. Hard house, it can be gay. I mean, you've got people like Tony DeVitt, but it broadens out into hard dance and other stuff. And yeah, it's not predominantly gay. That's the real difference if you're going to be in terms of club demographics. In terms of music, yeah, hard house. It's just slightly less camp, really. It's a bit harder, less handbaggy. So Perpetual Motion's kind of on the border of hard bag and hard house, I suppose. Right, Barbara Tucker, Everybody Dance, the horn song. We've had Horny, now a song about the horn, but I think I mean a trumpet. I could be wrong. It's actually a vocal version of an instrumental that had been going around, doing around. Should we stick it on? She's been on a few of these albums, actually. She's not been on one for a while. And she's someone I always gloss over. I'm looking up Barbara the Horn. Who gave Barbara the Horn? That doesn't really make sense, does it? Unless Barbara's a bloke. You never know. Barbara Tucker the Horn. Everybody Dance for Horn song. Yeah, so the original was by someone called The Don, which is actually DJ Pierre. And if you really want a good bit of trivia, DJ Pierre was behind Acid Tracks, the first ever acid house song ever. So The Don was DJ Pierre. They came up with the original backing for this, which is basically just a kind of a house instrumental with a kind of trumpet sound. Barbara Tucker's just added in some vocals to it. Not very well known. It's literally only had 3,000 views. I've had almost that with stuff I've done. Oh dear. It's really interesting. Looking at the stats. I personally, I'm happy if 100 people look at a video I've done. So when I'm talking about millions of views, it puts it all into perspective. I think for a pop song, I think really, I would say if it's got 1 million views, then it's had some kind of impact on the world. If it's got 10 million views, then it starts to get to classic level. And if it's got 100 million views, or even 50 million views, then it's starting to get to like all-time classic. It's not an exact science. And because some videos have only one on YouTube and others have loads and loads, they can be split. So yeah, if you really want to maximise the amount of hits for a video, make sure there's only one version of it on YouTube. Right, okay, Eurovision time again. Imani, I'd totally forgotten this one. And then I found out it came second in Eurovision, only to another person of mixed gender. What's his name? Dana International, the Israeli one. Diva International or something. Imani, where are you? Yeah, adequate Eurovision. Right, we've had John Travolta and Greece. And we've had all things 70s. It was only natural we'd get to Saturday Night Fever. And this time it's in commemoration of the stage show. And it's Adam Garcia. It's nowhere near the Bee Gees. His voice isn't high enough. You can't have someone singing Night Fever with a low voice. It's all about falsetto. And a couple of other totally forgotten novelty-ish songs. Do You Love Me Boy, Carrie Ann, and Los Umbrellas, No Tengo Dinero. No one's ever heard of him. They'll be lucky to even get 1,000 views. So this album, all in all then, it has had its moments. It's had some really good kind of summery dance stuff, but it's also had a hell of a lot of old 70s stuff. I think this is a really naff now, and it's really not reflective of the best of 98. I really, going back to saying they should have only put 2 out this year, really. This one's really superfluous. If we do go through it track by track, I mean, yeah, Grease Lightning, the Grease Megamix, classic, but it was a classic for like 18 years. Well, 8 years before this came out. 20 years for the original Grease stuff. Yeah, Viva Forever by the Spice Girls. Lots of people still like that. Maybe not me, but they like it. Looking for Love, Minor League, Karen Ramirez. Billy, it's kind of kitsch, I suppose. Lady Marmalade, okay version of a cover. Horny, novelty summer party, bit novelty. Feel It, okay, not really a classic. Steps, ditto. Leo, Bloody Sayer. Kung Fu, Bloody Fighting. Ultranate was good, but nowhere near a classic. Under the Bridge, interesting cover, but it's Achilles who did the classic. Boys of Summer, an old classic. So the first one that's probably a new classic, and even that's highly retro, is the Mavericks, Dance the Night Away. Save Tonight, Eagle Eye Cherries, reasonably classic. Road Rage, Catatonia. Okay, probably classic of the album, really. Teardrop, Massive Attack. And Free Lions, 98. I mean, the real classics are 96, but the 98 one's okay. Vindaloo's forgotten now. Another classic, Rockefeller Skank, Fatboy Slim. Club classic, Needing You. I Can't Help Myself, Lucid, Borderline. And that's about it, really. So there's only about 2 or 3 pure new classics. There's another 3 re-released classics. And there's another 3 or 4 borderline classics. Yet again, you can get a decent disc out of it, but really not one of the best. Okay, guys, thank you very much. I'll be back next time with Now 41.